Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. Today's a little bit different. This is not a pure video per se. It's actually a recording of a Twitter space that I held a few weeks ago, all about women who are getting into tech, talking a little bit about our childhoods and how we found tech, how we've experienced tech, and it was just turned into a really great discussion about how everyone can better support women and other underrepresented or historically excluded groups from the tech industry. I really hope you enjoy this summary. The Twitter space itself went for a full 2 hours, so we've cut that right down to half an hour for you. I hope you enjoy it. There's a lot of insight and also a lot of fun, and you maybe even get to hear me sing a little bit of opera. So I hope you have a great time listening to this summary. And please let me know if you'd like more of this kind of content in future by leaving a comment below.
I'm Faye. I am in the UK, in Essex, in the countryside. It's very nice. What am I doing at the moment? I'm a freelance technical writer. So that means writing documentation, marketing, all that kind of great stuff.
My name's Janine. I'm in Ontario, Canada. I was in Toronto for many, many years, but recently, just a couple months ago, have moved out to the country, which has been great. I'm a front-end developer. Recently learned how to code a year ago and just started freelancing. So that's been definitely a big learning experience for me, just getting started with that, but it's been good so far.
I'm Shondae. I'm a UI engineer at SalesLoft. We're in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. And I work on the front end. I also am working on a course for Egghead. And I run a group called React Ladies, which is working with or connecting people who identify as women and non-binary who are in the JavaScript React space and are looking for jobs, looking to level up, or just want to connect with other folks in the space.
Hey everybody, I'm Sarah. I'm outside at the pool with my kids, so you'll probably hear them in the background. But I've been programming for 5 to 6 years now, and I'm currently a freelancer. I focus on front end right now, but in my previous position, I also did back end. So, and I love both sides. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited for our conversation.
So, hi everyone, I'm Rebecca. I am a career switcher into tech, was working in it full time for about 8 months. I'm in between jobs right now, some announcements pending. But yeah, lots to chat about today. I also have a speaker series on Twitter called Tech Table, where I kind of try and make tech as accessible as possible for people. Have had Anna on MySpace and some others that are listening. And yeah, I'm really an open book, to be honest. So I'm quite happy to chat on lots of different topics. I come from a low socioeconomic background. I've had scholarships to different universities and have different words to say about different things there. Came into coding and tech in a bit of a weird way. So yeah, hopefully some good chats today, and really excited to be on the panel with all of these amazing women.
Lovely, thank you. And I suppose I should introduce myself as well for anyone who doesn't know. My name is Anna Mcdougall. I am an Australian, but I now live in Germany. My background is also a little bit unconventional. I did some work in project management and digital marketing out of university before I switched into a master's degree in music. I then worked as an opera singer for 7 years. That's what brought me here to Germany to pursue that career. And about a year and a half ago now, I decided to do something different and ended up switching careers again, this time into tech. And I now work as a junior software engineer at Novatech Consulting, based here in Germany. And I set up this fundraiser. So I just want to give everyone a little bit of background into why we're here, tonight and why so many incredible women agreed at very short notice to come and share their stories with us. So long story short, I was just on Twitter, as you are, and saw this fundraiser for empowering girls through tech. And when I looked into it, I saw that they had this stretch goal that they wanted to meet. Actually, when I looked into it, they hadn't even met their original goal. And I thought, hey, we can't have that. This is a mother-daughter team in the UK. They give free workshops to girls aged 10 to 14 in things like coding, physical computing, 3D printing, robotics, all kinds of really, really cool stuff. And I thought, this sounds amazing. Let's give them some support. I'm also just randomly gonna see if I can make a dinging noise. Hang on. There you go. Every time we get a donation, I'll do a little dinging noise, and that'll also be nice. On that note, Elena did ask a question. She had to go, but she did ask a question. What do you think businesses should do to involve more women in tech? And I think I'm going to throw Sean Day for this because I know you worked in business for quite a long time, you mentioned. So I feel like maybe you've got a good insight from both sides here.
Ooh, this is a good question. So it stems from leadership. And and the next step is to change the way that you are wording things so that you make it more inviting. Like, look at your website. Is it all the same person on your company website when you're talking about culture? Do you have diverse perspectives? When you have these recruiting events, do you have diverse people promoting? Do you have diverse people in the interview team? Things like that. So there's a lot of different things that you could be doing. But again, it all starts with leadership.
And I have to interrupt a little bit here to do quite a few dings because there are donations coming in left, right, and center, folks. Here it goes. Ding, 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 ding. I've got another one. Ding, 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 ding. And another one. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, it's me hitting a random glass with a random object in my living room. Yeah. Okay, so I have to do the thing because someone, Nate, actually donated 100 pounds. So thank you, Nate, and he has redeemed. Woo! I'm happy. I'm also sad because this means I actually have to follow through on my promise to sing a song. And he said as choice. Okay, here we go. Apprivoiser et c'est bien l'envoi qu'on appelle si lui convient de refuser. En effet, mais nos prières ne parlent bien notre succès. C'est notre que je préfère. Il n'a rien dit, mais il me plaît. L'amour, 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 l'amour. There you go.
That was amazing.
So
That was
good.
amazing.
That was incredible, Anna. Thank you.
All those years of training finally paid off. Neha asks, she wants to ask, she would like a speaker to answer the question, have you faced any adverse situations at your tech job as a woman? And if so, how did you deal with them?
It was a little while ago, but I was the only female it was a very small team, but no one felt like they could speak to me. I think that obviously caused some issues. I can't speak for other people, but no one wanted to speak to me, and that is all I can't say on the feelings of the other people, but that from my side, no one wanted to speak to me, and I suppose we could call that an adverse situation because obviously that affected feedback and the such like. The way that I dealt with that, just try to open as many communication channels as possible and just be like, hey, I'm a human. I may be this strange alien female version of a human, but I'm a human and we can talk. It's okay. You can tell me if something's not quite right. We don't need to wait until everything's broken. So not like a really bad situation, but a weird one, I guess.
Thank you so much, Faye. We've also had a £10 donation from David Myers. Hi, welcome. Thank you for your donations.
Hey, yeah, no problem. I love that you put this together. It's been awesome listening so far.
Thanks.
I just wanted to ask, and no one in particular, so whoever feels like they're the best for it, what advice do you have for trying to encourage people, women specifically, but I think this applies in general, to like make the shift into tech?
I really, really think that, confidence is key here. And, I've interviewed some women in different sectors as well, and confidence in women in the workplace is an issue across the board, not just in tech. But what we can do in the tech community is tell women consistently, whilst they are in the workplace and when they're applying for jobs and when they're on communities like this, that you deserve to be here. You are worthy, regardless of what you think of yourself at this moment in time. And if you're in that room, I think, it was Faye earlier who said, she was in a small team and people didn't think they could talk to her. Well, how effing horrible is that? That you're sitting there, you can do the job, you've been given the job, but you don't feel like you're part of the group. If you are in a team and you know that you're the majority man in the team, you've got one woman who's really trying to break it in, do that little bit extra to tell her that she's doing a good job. Do that little bit extra to include her in the jokes. Make sure that you're making your space inclusive, and then they also won't leave and they won't say, oh, this company's horrible to work for and not inclusive or whatever else. It also benefits you in the long run. But how do you kind of get us interested and wanting to make that leap, wanting to make that move, is include us. And the women who included me in their communities last year are the reason that I'm here and doing a pretty good job of it, to be honest. So I think the big thing for me is confidence, and whether you're a woman or not, sharing that story and boosting up other women will make more of us want to join tech, but also stay in tech, I think, is a key one.
Yeah, that was excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate the sublime quality of our guest speakers here tonight. There is really so much expertise, passion, and insight to be had here. Every single person in this room has the ability to inspire others to get into tech. And now let me just do a quick check and see what we've got. Now, actually, here's a bit of a special one. Ding, ding, ding. We have another donation. I hope that you heard that. And this one's actually from Rebecca. She decided to take the initiative and she donated £20. So she has a question for all of our speakers here tonight, I guess herself included. So Rebecca, over to you. What's your question for all of us?
Yeah, so I've done this a bit selfishly. Obviously, I want to get the money up because I think it's an amazing cause. But I wanted to hear from you guys, kind of veering off a little bit, about how can people like me, which I have noticed are slightly rarer in the tech teams that I've worked in and talked to, how can people like me help on stuff like confidence to speak in meetings or share your ideas, or those brainstorming sessions where usually the introverts or the quietest in the room don't get to have their say in the same way? How can we help you kind of better be involved in those discussions?
Yeah, for sure. And I've definitely dealt with this on both sides of things. Like in a workplace or a group setting where either I've been the leader and I'm trying to get people to be engaging, or I've also felt intimidated to speak up as well. And I really feel it's just about creating that comfortable, non-intimidating environment where everyone does feel welcome. So when I've been like a leader, I'll kind of like reach out to those people who I might feel aren't as engaged, but I really do appreciate their opinions and everything. And I'll be like, hey, Janine, I'd really like value your opinion about this, and I'd love to hear your ideas, just to make them feel a bit like more valued, make sure they feel appreciated. And I think it's just it's really just like creating that environment where they can feel safe.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, creating that safe environment where people actually feel able to speak up and they feel supported to speak up. Really, really great.
Actually, it's kind of add on to what Janine said as far as about feeling comfortable. But on top of that, you know, in coding, there are going to be times where you make mistakes or you can't figure out a problem. And so on top of just the safe space overall, being able to provide guidance in a way that does not belittle someone as well, maybe asking questions. How did you come to that? And what can we do to, you know, make this better, instead of having an attitude like, you know, you messed this up and it needs to be fixed. Working together, maybe doing pair programming sessions with other people or with your leaders, so that you can understand where they're coming from. So the leaders should be willing to spend time training you and being okay with you making mistakes and knowing that you're going to learn from them. And when those come up, make them learning experiences where you both can see each other's point of view and come to the best solution possible together, and then learning from that going forward.
Really great point, Sarah. Maybe I'll throw to Faye. Let's go with Faye.
Hey, yeah, a really great point, Anna, about not assuming knowledge. I think that's really important. That's something that I've said quite a lot. Yeah, my favourite phrase if I'm working with someone who maybe is a bit introverted, would be kind of like, oh, so like, what name she is? Rosie, because that's my cat's name. Rosie, you had a great idea. Or maybe if someone is super introverted and you know that would make them burn up and want to fall into the ground, then maybe if you know someone has had an idea or a thought or something, then you could start to explain the bare bones, and then let people say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, or whatever, and then just let the questions flow, but direct them maybe slightly towards the person who's introverted. I guess it depends obviously on the situation, because you don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable, and maybe it might be the confidence boost that someone needs for you to just say, oh, like Rosie had a great idea, it's blah blah blah, or she had a thought about this, or referencing it in some way that might just be the confidence boost that they need. But yeah, I think just talking to people, now it's on Slack and things like that, I guess.
We've all been there, right? Where we haven't been able to talk, or we haven't felt confident enough to talk, even when we know a lot about a topic. So yeah, as Faye says, if you know that someone in the room who is more introverted has special knowledge in this area or has a special interest in this area, try to ask them to speak if they want to.
As you all were talking, I was just thinking about, some people are introverted, and that's fine. Like they don't have to change. Like they don't have to be the people that speak up in meetings. They don't have to be like the idea person and come up with all this novel stuff in every single conversation that the team has. Some people, when you put them on the spot and you try to get them to answer a question about what they think about stuff, they freeze, and that makes them super uncomfortable. And you don't want to do that, because that kind of pushes people away from what you want. So I think just make sure that people go back to them, because usually it's like they'll kind of, start to speak, somebody will interrupt them, and then they'll be like, you know what, now I'm not going to do this again. Like they get kind of scared. I'm not going to start speaking again. But if you're like, okay, well, Shande was trying to speak, let's go back. What comment did you have? That kind of invites them back to the conversation. So you can be kind of a shepherd in that sense.
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing all of your experiences.
We're in a culture that does run on money, right? I wish it didn't. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. I wish it didn't, but it does. And the simple fact of the matter is that people can live a better life a lot of the time, especially when they come from these low-class backgrounds. But I will say that there are certain creature comforts that make life a lot easier, and the pure stress that comes along with not being financially stable is huge. It can really impact people's mental health. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying earning a bit more money can be a real life changer for people. And I think for people who maybe find themselves to be good at something and maybe they don't even have a passion for it, but they just need a career to get started, I don't think there's anything wrong with using tech as a jumping off point to discover more other things that you're interested in. And it does, coding itself more and more as time goes on is a basic skill that will help, I think, in almost any future career. So I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about it in purely practical terms as well. I don't think it's, it's obviously not the whole picture, but if you happen to also like it, great. Like, this is definitely an argument we can make.
Yeah, I think also, like, on the money point in terms of children, I don't know about you, but growing up, I might not have known loads about computers, but I by sure knew who Bill Gates was. So I also think that kids get inspired by stories, right? Like, not that we're saying, every child is going to be a billionaire or should want to be or whatever else, but I think if you inspire children with stories, and they can be invention stories, they can be success stories with regards to money, with regards to teams, businesses, whatever it is, but kids like stories, that it excites them. And like I remember learning a lot more about inventors as a child than I do now in tech. So even though I'm probably surrounded with a lot more inventors today than I was back then. So yeah, I don't know, it's interesting point, but it always comes back to me whenever I think about inspiring children. Children love stories, and the more that we share our stories, the more we'll inspire people, hopefully.
I was going to say adults love stories too. Like, this is something that I tweeted about this morning, actually. But storytelling helps. So my career before engineering was sales. That was what I was in for 12 years. And people have their own perception of what salespeople are, and it's not a good perception. What I thought was I was a teacher and a storyteller, and I would have to make the stuff that I was selling, which wasn't really interesting most of the time, sound super interesting and sound like something that people needed. And so I know that there's a couple of freelancers on the line. If you're selling a service, if you're selling yourself, if you're selling, yourself in an interview, and if you're doing talks, if you're talking about tech, if you're a teacher, all of that stuff is important to be able to tell those stories.
So I just wanted to come from a parent's perspective as far as inspiring kids, because even though kids do online school, a lot of times it's basic tasks. So one of the things like that I try to do with my 6-year-old is I have her practice her typing skills a few times a week, and she'll sit there for like 2 hours and just type away. And I remember growing up when I was about her age, that was my favorite thing to do, was see how good I could type and see how fast I could type. So it carries over, and they also see me on my computer a lot. So they get their little, I have some toy keyboards around the house, and they all like will pull up their keyboards and work with me while I'm typing away. And then outside of like just working on computers and just introducing that as much as possible, it also deals with different activities. So I like to do like more STEM oriented activities, or a lot of creative crafts, things that will eventually translate over into those types of skills that you can use on the computer. Because if you're designing some pretty art or something like that, that might translate into being a really great web designer. And maybe you're not a parent, but maybe you're an aunt or an older cousin, and you have a niece or something, and they see you doing that. So just when you spend time with them, you can implement some of those types of things, do creative crafts with them, show them what you do on your laptop, try to explain and see if they're interested. And so that's kind of that's how I think you can inspire people that you're close to, young girls that you're close to.
You just inspired me there a little bit as well. Okay, who else has an idea here? What, especially for teenagers, I feel like this is such a hard question to answer. But how do we get them to stick to it?
I remember when I was 13, I had just moved from a small town into a bigger city, and just in an effort to get involved, I noticed at my local library there was, or actually my mom noticed that there was a workshop, and it was really, really fun and engaging. And I think as adults, if we kind of promote workshops or create workshops like that, it could be really helpful and bring people together, and also share our own stories. And also, in a sense, kids are using these platforms like every single day, whether it's like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's like, let's make a more meaningful connection with those. So I think just even as adults, like if we don't see something that exists, then it's up to us to create it, and others will be inspired to, I think, follow suit.
Thank you. I want to ask, what do you feel like is the main takeaway from tonight that you have?
My takeaway is I'll just, I guess, double down on my point about just creating a safe space for other folks. Understand, the more I think about it, the more I feel like this is right. Not everybody wants to be in tech. Not everybody wants to speak up. It's not up to you to convince everybody where they need to be. But if they do want to be there, you have the ability to create a safe space for somebody and really make a difference for them. So be open and approachable, tell your story, and people will learn from that. Just, I feel like all I do is just talk about myself a lot of the times. But there's people that are really absorbing that and want to hear that. And they want to hear not just I did it in 9 months and I stayed up all night and this is how you do it. You just have to hustle. They want to hear like the real hard stuff, because those are the things that people aren't really speaking about. And that's what people are really facing internally. So we all have a struggle. As women, we are all part of a minority group in tech. So just, share your stories, share the obstacles, be vulnerable with people, and they'll open up and want to share with you.
This whole space has been geared towards, preteen and teenage girls wanting to get in. It's just, especially if you're somebody in tech, even if you're not a woman, you could be a man and still show younger people what they can do with technology. And like somebody said, they use TikTok, they use YouTube all the time. So figuring out like a fun project to make it customized to what they like about it, and just continue to support them if they show an interest, and be there if they have questions, and try to mentor them if you can.
Thank you, Sarah. Rebecca, what do you think?
Yeah, so I back what Shonde and Sarah have already said, but I guess something different which always warms me in these spaces is that even though our kind of childhoods and journeys and learning has been different, there was a lot of kind of shared emotion, I think, today, and a lot of shared passion. And I think that's really inspired me, that we will inspire, if that makes sense to use the term quite a few times. I think, we've touched on it a load of times today. The world around us is changing and changing rapidly, and I think we only have the power to include more girls, more people from different backgrounds, non-binary folks, whoever else who has traditionally not been included in these spaces. Yeah, back what the others said, but also main takeaway for me is just how inspiring this chat has been for me, and hopefully other people listening.
I 100% agree. I think, we're all in a position here where we can make change, and we can be part of this community, and we can show people what role we can play. And as you said, with the way that the world is changing, tech is growing, right? I see a lot of people being like, is it too late for me to get into tech? I'm however years old or whatever. It is not. It is not too late. The way in which tech continues to grow, it's exponential. There is really so much demand, and it is a great industry. So I think you're absolutely right. This bringing these diverse voices in is a huge part of what we have a responsibility to do, and inspiring those people with our stories is very important. So with that said, let's throw to Janine. Janine, what is your big takeaway from tonight? How are you feeling?
Yeah, this talk has been just incredible and so inspiring. But I think the biggest thing that we can tell people is, no matter who you are, is that you do belong. There is space for you, and we will support you. And that's, I think, the number one thing. That's the number one advice that I have to give to anyone wanting to get into tech.
Thank you to absolutely everyone who joined us tonight. You just being here means a lot. I think in the end we got almost £200 worth of donations for Girls into Coding. It is just so awesome to know that we are doing something for some good. It was totally worth it. Even if we didn't have the charity aspect, it has been so wonderful to have these amazing speakers with us tonight. Each and every one of them is incredible. Please do follow them, support them, retweet them, and to everyone in here, we appreciate you so much. So thank you, and we will see you next time. Thanks again, and bye.